Hey y'all, welcome back to the Quackery where we break down what's going on in Taylor's local government in plain English so you know what's being decided and how it affects you. These meetings can get pretty technical, but that's what I'm here for, to cut through the jargon and make sure more ducks are in the pond when it comes to shaping Taylor's future. The next Taylor City Council meeting is set for Thursday, October 9th at 6 p.m. at City Hall, Council Chambers, 400 Porter Street. Before we dive into the agenda, a quick word about citizens communication. This is your chance to speak directly to Council on any topic, even if it's not listed on the agenda. All you have to do is arrive a few minutes early, fill out the sign-up form, and you will have 3 minutes at the podium. Council members cannot respond to you in the moment, but your comments do go on the public record. After proclamations for Fire Prevention Week and the Good Life Taylor 5K, we move into the agenda itself. Let's start with a consent agenda. These are the routine or non-controversial items that get bundled together into one vote, unless a council member pulls one out for discussion. First up, the council will be asked to approve the minutes from their September 25th meeting. Next, there's Ordinance 2025-32, sometimes called the Strength of Force Ordinance. This one sets the official number of positions in both the police and fire departments, which the city is required to do under Texas law. For the police department, the ordinance establishes 2 commanders, 5 sergeants, 4 corporals, and 22 officers or recruits. For the fire department, it sets 1 assistant chief, 7 lieutenants, 6 drivers/operators, and 12 firefighters. This update also reflects the addition of 1 new police officer position that's being funded in the 2026 budget. From there, the council will consider Resolution R25-21, which deals with Taylor's Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 2. A TIRZ is a special financing tool where the property taxes collected inside a designated zone are reinvested back into improvements within that zone. By law, there has to be a governing board of directors, and this resolution formally appoints the mayor and council members by their places to serve on that board. The terms are staggered, so not everyone rolls off at the same time. And then there's the city's grave digging contract. The city of Taylor contracts this work out for the Taylor City Cemetery, and NIPA Cemetery Services has held the contract since 2015. They were the only bidder again this year. The contract covers not just the digging and filling of graves, but also cleanup, tents, chairs, ground coverings, and equipment for burials. The price is going up from $650 per burial, which was set back in 2020, to $1,050 in 2025. This contract would begin immediately if approved, and it's paid for through the cemetery fees. Finally, the consent agenda includes an amendment to the Taylor Economic Development Corporation budget for this fiscal year. The EDC passed its budget back in August of 2024, but now that we've got updated numbers from August of this year, they've made some changes. By law, City Council has to approve those updates. On the revenue side, things look good. Sales tax collections came in higher than expected, and interest income was stronger too. On the expense side, though, costs are climbing. The biggest change, over $3 million, is reimbursement to the City of Taylor for major infrastructure, the Highway 79 wastewater line, a new water and wastewater master plan, and the Highway 79 engineering study. Consulting costs also went up, covering things like land sales, strategic planning, and even hotel project legislation, and then there are new projects added into the mix. For example, KRXT, the local radio station, was allocated $65,000. Other projects now in the budget include Project Gaines, Project Howard, East Wilco 95, and Project Light tied to the RCR Rail Park. To balance this out, some expenses were reduced, like Samsung reimbursements, which dropped from $1.5 million down to $450,000, and the US 79 wastewater project, which got shifted into the city's line item. The end result? Revenues and expenses both now sit at about $6,660,000, meaning the EDC's amended budget breaks even instead of carrying a surplus. And since this is on the consent agenda, unless a council member pulls it for questions, it'll likely pass as part of the grouped vote. From there, we shift into the public hearings and ordinances, and this is where the most impactful conversation of the night will likely happen. One ordinance being introduced is Ordinance 2025-33, which amends Chapter 19 of the Code of Ordinances. This is being described as addressing loitering and panhandling downtown, but in plain terms, it's a law that will directly impact unhoused people in Taylor. Here's what it would do. It would prohibit sitting, lying down, or sleeping in public spaces in the downtown overlay district. It would restrict what's called aggressive panhandling or soliciting, meaning things like repeated requests for money, following people, or making people feel unsafe. It would ban blocking sidewalks or rights-of-way, aiming to keep pedestrian paths open and compliant with ADA standards. The process would work like this. Officers would first try voluntary compliance if they see or receive a complaint. If needed, they'd give an official warning. If that warning is impliant followed, they could issue a citation, and repeated violations could even lead to arrest. The stated goals are to keep downtown safe, accessible, and welcoming for visitors and businesses. But there are serious concerns here. Enforcement may require more police resources. It could disproportionately punish people who are unhoused or struggling economically, and it could face legal challenges if not enforced carefully, since laws like these touch on constitutional protections. This isn't up for a final vote just yet. It's being introduced on October 9th, and the plan is to bring it back for adoption at the October 23rd meeting. Also on the ordinance list is Ordinance 2025-23, which would update the city's fee schedule for 2026. This includes things like increases for cemetery fees, adjustments to development services and permitting, and some new parks and recreation charges. If approved later this month, those new fees would go into effect November 1st. After that, council will move into executive session, the part of the meeting that happens behind closed doors. One item there is listed under section 551.071, consultation with the city attorney about the development agreement for Prairie Crossing Municipal Utility Districts 1 and 2. Prairie Crossing is located on Farm to Market Road 970-3 in the southwest corner of Taylor. And here's a quick heads up, there's also a public notice out right now from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality about Prairie Crossing's wastewater permit. The developer has applied to renew authorization to discharge up to 4.5 million gallons a day of treated wastewater into Boggy Creek and then Brushy Creek. That application is available at the Taylor Public Library and online, and residents can submit public comments or even request a hearing. So, while council is discussing Prairie Crossing in private, there is also a separate public process underway that neighbors can take part in. Another big executive session topic is the Oncor Electric Delivery Company, Muscovy, Voss Lake, Walleye Creek 345 kHz transmission line project in Williamson and Milam counties. This is a major proposed power line stretching more than 25 miles with new substations and steel towers designed to strengthen the grid and improve reliability. The cost is estimated at about $380 million with a target completion date of 2028. The project is being funded by Oncor and LCRA Transmission Services Company, not the City of Taylor, though costs are typically recovered later through customer electric rates. And residents may have concerns from property impacts and right-of-way issues to the visual impact of large towers, to environmental questions, and even how much of the cost will show up on customer bills. This project is still under review, but it's definitely one for the community to keep an eye on. Remember, if you've got thoughts on the new ordinance or anything else, you can speak during citizens communication, comes back later in the month. And that's your Quackery Breakdown for the City Council agenda for the October 9th meeting at 6 p.m. at City Hall. More ducks in the pond means more voices in the conversation, and together we help shape Taylor's future.